Welcome to another edition of 100% Canucks. John Shannon, Landon Ferraro on the eve of the Canucks regular season. Landon, what are your expectations for this hockey club?
You know, I would say this. Going into training camp, I was expecting it to be a very defensive-minded team. You know, like you look at the forward group and it's not eye-popping in, straight firepower and scoring a ton of goals. And yet as preseason went along, you could see the new style of play that Adam Foote is implementing here and how much more the D are up in the rush. In the D zone, they're swarming quick. They're killing plays quite quickly and not having to spend a lot of time. Like, I think it's going to be a lot more of an exciting style than I was expecting. They have such a good D-core. Their goalies are elite. I kind of expected them to sit back into that a little bit more, but it's almost the opposite. They're like, well, we have these pieces. Go that way. Go north. And so I think it's going to be a team that needs to win as a team. It can't count on one or two guys. As much as Quinn Hughes can kind of take over the ice majority of times that he's out there, like they need them to play the system extremely well. And I think the guys through preseason saw, hey, when we're connected, especially in the D zone, we get out quick. Well, we're connected in the neutral zone, we're through there extremely fast. And all of a sudden we're having fun in the offensive zone.
I hear you about the offense, but let's look at that first line: Pettersson, Besser, DeBrusk. It's not unreasonable to think 100 goals if they stay together. DeBrusk can score 30. Besser can certainly score 30. And is it outlandish to think that Elias Pettersson, a guy who, if he's back to where he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he's a 100-point guy, that can he get 40? I don't think that's unreasonable. I really don't. So then the challenge becomes is where are the forwards? Is anybody else going to score? And that really is the challenge, I think, more than anything else. Don't you?
I really do. And I think having those three together on the top line and seeing what's behind it, like the Hedl, Garland, and Baines is in that slot right now. Like that's a good line, but I would say that
it was somebody. Hedl and Garland can both score.
Oh yeah, they can. But my point of bringing that up is how much attention that first line can get from the top defenders of the other team and shutdown line. Like they're going to have to be able to play through a lot. I think that, as much as, yes, the key is Elias Pettersson getting back to form and really driving that line, we know Besser has his shot and he's a smart player and can get himself to spots. I really think the X factor is Jake DeBrusk. His speed has always been there, but in preseason so far, he looks faster. He looks a little quicker. When he was having his conversation with us in the summer, I loved the fact that he's like, yeah, I know I had my career high in goals at 28, but I still have more to produce and more that I can kind of drive on my own. I think that he can be the guy to really take that line to a new level. And I'm excited to watch it because he's really driven. All three of those players are looking for, two of them more bounce back years in Pettersson and Besser. And for DeBrusk, it's kind of more, I think, proving to himself that he can be more of a driver.
By the way, we have Patrik Allvin coming up in a couple of minutes. And to me, it's funny you talk about the DeBrusk interview we did earlier this summer. The one that really impacted me was the Connor Garland one. Yeah. I was really impressed because I think in the end he's one of those unsung leaders on this team. I think there's a lot of people that he can get around and get pulling in the same direction. There'll be days he has a letter, there'll be days he may not. But I tell you what, to me, Connor Garland is one of those guys that's going to be a difference maker for this hockey club. And then all of a sudden now, if Philip Hedl can play the way I think a lot of people expect him to play. Now, all of a sudden, there are two lines that are contributing. And then you throw in the whirling dervish of Kiefer Sherwood. This team's going to be fun to watch.
Honestly, I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be a fun brand of hockey this year. I think that, for the couple reasons you just said, like Garland, to me, he's the one that when I get in the dressing room at morning skate and stuff, I like trying to find a way to have a conversation with him because he's always going to give you a really good answer because he sees the game a lot differently than a lot of other guys. He has to, at his size, be a lot smarter, and he is. He finds a way to buy time and get space. But I fully agree with you in the fact that, like, he is a competitive driver for that team. They see how hard he works and how much he looks at his own game, tries to improve constantly. Like, that's infectious for other players to see him do that. I think that as the team is built right now and the lines that they're in, the fact that the Cootes, Lecker-Mackey, and Kane line will get those kind of sheltered minutes against, kind of lower competition of the other team as well. Like, that's a line that I think can do a lot more than anyone's really giving them credit for as of now, before the season's even started. So I think that Lecker-Mackey has taken a decent step. He seems, last year, he would second guess his shot a decent amount, you could almost see it of the young kid, like, oh, is this the right play? Am I being selfish? Do I need to pass it? And through preseason, he's like, I have a better shot than the majority of the guys on this roster off a pure release standpoint. Like, I need to use that. And it's been good to watch, but you can see where this team might have a little more goal scoring in it than any one of us have really been talking about coming into camp.
You surprised about all the hype around Cootes?
I mean, I'm not surprised about the hype considering he's the 15th pick overall, and yet he found himself on the opening night roster in a Canadian market, right? Like, that alone brings a lot of hype. But watching him in person and seeing the way that he reads the game, his competitiveness, he never puts himself in a bad position or a spot where I might be able to make this play and it would look really good if I do it. Mm-hmm. He gets the puck, he makes the first read that he can, and he makes the play, and he gets moving up the ice. He gets into a corner with a way bigger guy. He goes in there, he tries to quick steal it, and then he makes a play right away. Like, he's not holding on to the puck like a lot of young kids do for too long, and before you know it, that window's gone, and you get pushed off because there's bigger guys. I think that he's done an amazing job handling the noise of a Canadian market. I loved his answer when they're saying, how are you handling it? And he's like, I'm from Edmonton. Like, I've seen what it can be, right? Like, but that's just, and he had a smile on his face. Like, you can tell, as much as he's taking this as serious as making the NHL is, he's having a lot of fun. And I don't think what he just accomplished by getting to the opening night roster and being in that game, I don't think that's lost on him.
No, you're probably right. So anyway, we'll definitely ask Patrik Allvin about him and a few other issues as the Canucks are preparing for Game 1 on Thursday night against the Calgary Flames. Patrik Allvin next on 100% Canucks.
I won't keep you long. Darren Millard with a tip for everyone who loves great hockey podcasts like this one. John Shannon and I host the OG of 100% Hockey, coming your way multiple times a week. The guest list is the best you will find. Multiple shows a week ensures you won't miss out on any news, and we dig even deeper into the biggest stories around the NHL. Most of our guests are also friends, so I promise there'll be more conversation beyond the X's and the O's. John really does get bored with that after a while. So join us for 100% Hockey. The name says it all. Subscribe now while you enjoy thinking about it. And enjoy.
Welcome back to 100% Canucks. John Shannon, Landon Ferraro, joined by General Manager of the Canucks, Patrik Allvin. So, Patrik, the day before your first regular season game in 2025, Butterflies? What's your feeling?
Yeah, I always think you have butterflies. It's a great time here of the year in Vancouver for starting up the season. Excitement around the city and excitement around the team. And I think the players and the staff are excited to get going here tomorrow.
You have talked about it. Adam talked about it. The message coming out of camp appears to be all about leadership. Can you explain that a bit more?
Well, I think what Adam has pointed out and what we want to do is play as a team, and you want to have the players to drive the team, not the coach. I think we have a good mix of veteran players that have been part of winning and been part of winning environment. So I think what he has emphasized on is more so that the players need to lead the younger ones and need to drive the practice and need to drive the games with the right mindset and playing the right way and playing for the crest. So I think those are being the talking points for Adam here, leading up to the training camp. I would say that having the leadership group on the same page in order to jump right in there, and part of it is preparation.
You've heard a lot, we've heard a lot through camp, and now that it's ending, season's getting going, that there's been a lot of like positive vibes around training camp and the group. And, after such a, big year last year of things going on, like what's been the biggest difference from the end of the season till the end of preseason now that you see?
Well, I think we fairly quick learned and kind of closed the book from last year in terms of the exit meetings. And from there on, going from myself going through the process of hiring a coach, and once we got that in place with Adam and his assistants, and they quickly, as I mentioned here earlier, they quickly wanted to address and build up the leadership group. And Adam had several conversations with expectations on the leadership here coming into camp, and I think he wanted to be prepared. Adam is extremely detailed and organized and always ahead of things. So he wanted to make sure we started off with the right foot there in Penticton on the first day, and everybody was ready to go. And when you are on the same page and when you are ready to go, I think things go smoothly. You don't have to emphasize too much on getting in shape and skating guys hard. It was right into the system stuff, and from there on, I think we have built up our pipeline in terms of depth, and I think that showed in the preseason games that more players were able to give us games and started to have more competitions. And I think that's a sign of a really healthy organization. So leading up to the roster setting day, definitely been a lot of discussions around players that, what is it best for short term and long term for some of the players we have in the competition and so on. So I think Adam, credit to Adam and his staff and the leadership group of the players have come together a fairly short year and done a really good job.
You touched on Adam getting his system in place. How will we notice that? Even, for instance, how will we notice it Thursday night against Calgary?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I do believe that hopefully fans that have watched our games here in the preseason have knowledge that we want to play a faster brand of hockey, and we want to hunt pucks, and we want to get all five players involved in the offense here in order to provide more scoring. I think this is a process that we're going to continue to work on and continue to get better. But I do think that the players understand what the roles are. We want to play predictable hockey, and when you play predictable hockey, it's easier for the individuals to know where they're going to be, and if you do, then in my opinion, you play fast.
So to me, there are, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there are four great player stories with this club. I'll list the four players, and you can tell me I'm full of it or not. Thatcher Demko, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Braeden Cootes. and you know that all you were growing up in Sweden when we were watching Sesame Street and said one of these things isn't like the other. And Braeden Cootes isn't like the other three. So let's just pick the first one. Thatcher Demko obviously is healthy, but so much of what you need to do between now and April is to make sure that he stays healthy. How do you do that? And how do you make sure that mindset continues for the regular season?
Yeah, and I think that was something that Thatcher left here in a good spirit when he left Vancouver after an early exit, that he had a full chance to work out healthy in the summer. I think that was a big step. Thatcher came back here early August and was dialed in right away. And obviously his excitement of to stay in Vancouver, to sign his extension was a big part of it. I think he's one of the bigger leaders on our team in terms of commitment and dedication and practice habits. And when you have a goal in Thatcher's caliber, it makes the rest of the team more confident too. Obviously, we have a lot of games, condensed schedules, and with having Kevin Lankinen here as well, it definitely gives our team more chances to win hockey games.
You have, the roster's set now. You have the seventh youngest team by age in the league. Was that by design, or is that just how it turned out and guys forcing themselves onto the roster?
Yeah, I was aware of that. I did. There was nothing that we really talked about. What we did talk about over the last 3 years since I've been here, the emphasis of development down in Abbotsford and then the draft by Todd Harvey and his group. Because in today's cap world, you need to have players in the pipeline. You need to have good depth. And we're seeing some of those players coming through here. The experience they went through in Abbotsford last year, winning the Calder Cup, gave them swagger and believe, and they came in here in training camp ready to go. And I think that sparks the juice of the training camp here. And it's been a very inspiring camp. And as I said earlier, with the competition spots. So I think some of them are been in the system for a couple of years in terms of Baines and Carlson, but you have some fresh bodies here in Pettersson and Lekkerimäki and then just newly drafted Cootes. So I think there is a little bit of mix, but I do believe that you need the right mix in order to have long-term success.
How much of a concern do you have that Cootes can stick, or is this a reward for a great camp?
It's definitely a reward for a great camp. I don't think this kid has earned every day. To be honest, when we first started to plan in our preseason games, we said, let's put Cootes in the first game and see where he goes from there. Definitely rewarding for him to have the right mindset of earning the next day. And we all know how hard this league is, and especially if you're a young kid. That being said, I'm very, very excited to have Cootes here. I'm very open-minded to see what he's going to go from here. And I think we, as an organization, and for me with Adam Foote here, just continue to take it day by day.
But we're not going to be doing the countdown to 10 games?
Well, hopefully game one goes well, and then we go from there. But nothing is set in stone here, so we'll keep it. I think it's for us. It's got to be protecting Braeden too. I mean, Let's see how we're doing, and let's see how he doing, and then we make the decision what's best for Vancouver Canucks and best for Braeden Cootes' long-term development.
Was there from development camp just after Cootes was drafted until, the end of training camp, has he grown a decent amount in his game, or is it just him continuing on his normal path? And everyone talks about his maturity on the ice and all of that. Like, could you see right from development camp he might have a chance, or was this completely unexpected that he exceeded all expectations?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think, to be completely honest, I think it's hard to evaluate in the development camp in the summer, especially for a young kid coming in after just being drafted. What I will say, though, is if you expand it a little bit longer, I watched him in Texas at the U18 in the end of April, and I would say from end of April to where we are today, I've been very impressed how quickly he has been able to adjust and adapt to pro hockey. And I think that shows his dedication, his maturity level, and also most impressed with his coachability, how the coaches are telling me that he absorbed the information, and he can learn from shift to shift what is working and what they're asking for him. So definitely being, I would say it's more of a process over 4 or 5 months here that I see a lot of growth.
You still looking for a second line center, or are you going to put that on hold for now?
Well, I think we identified going back to the start of the offseason here that the center position could strengthen us, or depth. I don't know if you number it to a second line center. I think we're looking for added depth, and preferable is something in our top 3 lines. That being said, I'm extremely pleased with the centers we have here. But in order, we all know that injury might occur, or things might be different here in a couple of weeks or months. So we're definitely keeping our eyes open, or ears open here.
Well, you guys have never been shy for change. I mean, 2 years ago, there were 25 trades before Christmas, and I think you guys were involved in 24 of them. So, you guys are never standing still, are you?
No, and I think that's what I've learned from my boss, Jim Rutherford, too, to always be ahead of it and always make sure you're giving your team a chance to win, and showing if there is a way to improve your team, you got to be in on that, and looking at all the options there.
And speaking of centers, going to the top of your depth chart there, you're through the preseason. How would you evaluate Elias Pettersson's game through camp and preseason?
Well, I've been very pleased with Elias' camp and the games he's played too. I think he's you could tell he likes the way Adam is coaching, and you can tell he enjoys his line mates. They had a lot of speed. He came in great shape, and he's a proud person. Like he there is no doubt that he wants to get back to his game, and he's done everything to show us that is what he's capable of here. Getting a bigger part of the leadership group here, and I think he's been very inspiring. And I think his line with Besser and DeBrusk have clicked really well in both ends of the game.
Jake DeBrusk will kick him loose. That's the great thing about Jake DeBrusk. He's a character guy, and he will make Elias feel welcome on the ice all the time. They seem to have great chemistry.
Absolutely. Like Jake, he's a great person and a great player and tremendous speed. So definitely help that line.
How do you manage the Quinn Hughes noise, Patrik? We had Jimmy on our other show, 100% Hockey, and I'm sure you saw it because he was very forthright about what's going on. But this is a season you're almost in no man's land because you can talk to them, but there's nothing you can really do yet. So how do you manage all this noise?
Well, I think that's where Adam is talking to the leadership group and the team too. Like, you got to be able to shut off the outside noise. And I know Quinn is extremely professional, and when he is in Rogers, he's definitely focused. And I'm sure he's talking to his family and his agent of different stuff. But I know Quinn is really happy where he is right now, and I know he has a great relationship with Adam Foote, and he likes his team, and will continue to grow and get better here.
Lekker finishes off the preseason with a couple beautiful goals, that massive shot that he has. What's been the biggest difference from the end of last year till now? Because he looks quite a bit different on the ice.
Well, I think watching some of the European players coming over to North America and understanding how hard it is to play more games, traveling, different culture. I think he learned a lot and grew a lot over the year last year, and he's still young. And he had a good short summer and came in here in good shape. And I think his confidence level is the biggest thing, and obviously the trust and communication with his coaching staff too, about his identity and how he needs to play in order to have success. But so far, definitely notice a more confident young man being around here, and you can tell on the eyes that he's taking more shots and demanding the puck more, and is willing to go into battles differently than last year too.
Doesn't hurt to have Evander Kane as a guy on his line. Everybody's a little more brave when a guy like Evander's on that threesome. So what has Evander done for you so far?
No, you're right. I mean, Evander is an old school power forward. What I think surprised the most from the coaches is his skill level, and his. I think the ones that got to know him, they figure out he's actually a really good person. He's been excellent. I mean, he has the experience now of back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, which is impressive. And I think he has learned a lot. And up to this point, I'm very impressed how he teaching and handling the two young players that are on his line.
The other guy that there's always seems to be a lot of interest this year since the trade with the Rangers is Victor Mancini. So to Abbotsford initially and now back, how many games would you expect that Mancini would play for the big club?
That's a good question. We're very fortunate here to have several players that doesn't need waivers, right. And I could see it being little bit of a rotation spot early on until they get going. We're extremely pleased with Victor's off-season, and I thought he had a really good camp, and basically was coming down to discussion with the coach what his preference was. But I think Victor is right there. He definitely will compete for staying up in Vancouver. But again, we're very fortunate to have several other players that are in the same position there.
And with Mancini specifically, how do you manage it, or the messaging? Not to say that he's getting sent down right now, but if he is down in Abbotsford, he's playing way more minutes. He's going to be running a power play and all that, which is great. But when he's up in Vancouver, I think your power play has a pretty good quarterback at the moment in Quinn Hughes. So, how do you make sure that he's still working on the things that are going to translate to the NHL as much as he's doing all the other things?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think that's where you don't want to have a player getting lost in communication and lost in what your identity is. So the number one key thing for me is communication here, from myself to Adam Foote, and in this case, Kevin Dean. And we're very fortunate to have Daniel and Henrik Sedin working with both Vancouver and Abbotsford. So they should be anybody between this should be the same message, and I think some of the younger players needs a lot of reps, and when you don't play enough minutes up here in the National Hockey League, then it becomes hard for the younger players to improve in certain areas. So very fortunate to have Abbotsford, and when they're not playing up here, they're definitely going to get a lot of minutes down in Abbotsford.
How's Teddy Bluger?
He is a couple I believe that he was out skating on the injured ice today, so hopefully he will rejoin the main team here in the next couple of days.
And I've got to ask you, Rangers played Pittsburgh on opening night, and Artur Shilovs was in goal for Pittsburgh. Just did you get a chance to watch Shilovs play for the Penguins?
I did, yeah. Very happy for Artie to get the start there, and his first shout out in the National Hockey League. A great kid, and wish him all the best.
Bringing up another young guy that is getting a big opportunity this year is Archie Baines. And, getting to watch a ton of last year, like, he has some elite playmaking ability. Like, he sees a lot on the ice. Through the coaching staff, what's the biggest thing to unlock that at the NHL level?
Well, I agree with you. I think his speed and ability to hunt pucks and almost being a little bit of a power forward, but because he can skate, and then on top of that, his skill level. I thought he just got better and better in the playoff in Abbotsford last year. I think for the young players, when you're prepared, that gives you confidence. And I think what Adam has been pretty clear with all the young guys, it's you're not getting judged by points up here. It's about playing the right way. And I think Adam is okay if some of the young players are not scoring, as long as they do all the little things right and start building. I think it's hard to jump to step 4 when you got to go every step of the way up there. And I think that's what they're learning. The hardest part in the National Hockey League is consistency. And I think that's for all the young players to understand you're going to do the same thing every night. And when you do that, then you're going to have success.
It's amazing how many times that Calder Cup championship now is a factor for the Canucks. And I don't think a lot of people understand how important that growth is when you consider there's at least 3 or 4 guys from that team on your roster right now, and the difference that it makes with the growth of a team. So you can't ever underestimate what winning a title even at the minor league level is for any NHL team, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And winning is part of, in my opinion, development, 100%. And I'm happy, that's, again, a sign of a healthy organization where we have been able to promote a lot of staff members, too, from Abbotsford over the years here. So very happy to have Abbotsford Canucks.
I forgot when I was talking about injuries in Bluger, I didn't ask about Nils Höglander. What's his status now, and how long do you think?
Nothing has changed since the original time there. I believe it was 8 to 10 weeks, so right. He's on track.
What would you say enables, or what is the part of Adam Foote's new style that he wants, the D getting up in the rush and closing quicker in the D zone? I mean, I don't think anything's more evident through preseason that there's a different style than the fact that Derek Forbort scored a goal driving the net and had one disallowed as well. I don't think he got up there too much last year. What enables Adam to be able to implement that type of style with this group?
I think that, again, you're going to have the players buying into the trust. You're going to trust each other. And when you do, then you're playing as a 5-man unit there. and you're playing both sides of a rink as a 5-man unit, and you want to play fast and connected. And again, when you understand the system you're playing and you trust the system, I think it makes it easier for everyone to be part of it. And with Adam as a head coach, you're in charge of implementing the system. So obviously you got to connect with the players, and the players going to buy in. And so far, no, it's great, but how they bought into Adam, way of teaching it and the way he wants to play here.
Well, Patrik, listen, good luck in all 82 games. Season starts Thursday night at home against the Flames. And thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And see you around here more.
Patrik Allvin, the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks. Landon and I'll be back after this.
All right, listen up. Today I want to talk about giving 110%. Giving 100% means giving everything you got. Giving 110% means giving 10% more than is humanly possible. If we're going to win as a team, we need 100% of you guys giving 110% 100% of the time. If only 50% of you guys give 110% and 50% of you guys give 100%, I guarantee you 100%, we'd only win 50% of our games. Suppose 75% of the 110% gave only 50%, and 50% of the 100% gave 25%, and 75% of the 110% were not feeling 100%, then we'd be in a heap of trouble. That's why we need 100% of you guys giving 110%, 100% of the time. Okay. Let's go out and play some hockey.
Okay, I'm going to make you the general manager, Landon, for at least 40 seconds. How long do you think Cootes is on this club?
I honestly think it's impossible to say, because I don't think they have the plan of, okay, he's getting 6 games and then he's going to go back to junior. I think the ball is fully in Cootes' corner right now. How does he handle?
Really, because if Adam Foote decides that he's not dressing him, that becomes another challenge, right?
Yeah, but again, with how Cootes has played in preseason, the only way that Foote doesn't want to put him in the lineup, in my eyes, is the regular season is a little too much for him at this point, being in the age and size that he is. Mm-hmm. But if he plays the way that he has been in preseason, there's nothing holding him back, right? Like you brought up, talking to Patrik there, the play where he wins the battle right at the face-off dot and then quickly delivers it to Lecker-Mackey, who just pumps that one-timer in. Like, those are legit regular NHL-type plays. He's not on the outside. He's not, kind of hovering and trying to find where he can pounce. He goes headfirst into battles. He knows what he needs to do. He doesn't cheat for offense. I think this goes as far as Cootes takes it, really. I said on radio here the other day, and I think this is true, of when they get to that point of having to decide, unless it's just very clear he's just not ready at this level yet, and that makes the decision easy. I think it'll be more about how does he look coming into the rink? Like, how is he holding up through this type of competition night in and night out? Does he look like he's still fresh and can keep going? Or does it look like he's getting, he's putting everything into the one game? He comes in and he's a bit gassed and tired for practice the next day, because the level, especially from junior to the NHL, you can say it's a big step, but I think there's about 12 big steps between there, right? So I think it'll be more how does the young kid handle the rigors of an NHL game day in and day out?
So the guys that got rewarded out of Abbotsford, Baines, Carlson, Lecker-Mackey, is this going to be a short-term reward, or do you think they're there for good now on this roster? Because they all, the Ty Mueller interview that we did has stuck with me, because he talked about getting called up and being able to stick with the big club. What do you see for those, particularly those three guys? I'm not putting Mancini in there because I think he's a different animal. But those three guys, are they regulars by the time Christmas comes?
Well, much like Cootes, it's fully in their hands. And if you listen to what Patrik was just talking about, like for those guys, it's about consistency, being able to do it night in and night out, doing your job as much as, and I think I'm talking more in Baines here, as much as he said, it's not about looking at it just points. But at the end of the day, Baines is sitting on the second line with two players that they need to produce in Hedl and Garland. And Baines has some really good offensive talent. Like, he's going to have to be able to kind of take that step. I think that they've put themselves obviously in a very good position, but at the same time, it's the old cliche of it's not that hard to get to the NHL, but man, it's really, really hard to stay in it. And they're going to have to do that work.
That's a good, that's a good point. And you can address it too. There's actually probably more structure in the NHL than there is in the AHL. Isn't there?
Oh, by a mile. Like it seems like the Wild West sometimes when you're in the American League. Like, you're a centerman, you're going low and slow in your own end. You get the puck from your D in the corner, and now you look up ice. And me as a right-hander, I'd get the puck and I'm like, okay, where's my winger that's slashing across? And all of a sudden you look up and you're like, he's not there. Okay, where's the next play? Like, sometimes everyone gets crowded to one side. Like, Braeden Cootes actually spoke of this with the media yesterday or today, of like, he feels like he's almost better at this level because of the positioning and everyone's where they're supposed to be. And to be honest, the way I've always described it is, you have more time and space in the American League, but it's harder to find the play sometimes. And in the NHL, everyone's in the right spots, but it's hard to find that play because everything is tight. And that, okay, in the American League, again, I always go back to, you might be against a 20-year-old defenseman that has just grown a couple inches and he's trying to find his legs again. Right? Like, that happens with young players, and you can take advantage of that. Those players don't pop up in the NHL very much. When you're going against even the third pairing D, they're really good defensemen, and you can't just take advantage of miscues all the time because they're in the right spots.
Just before we go, I did have to ask Patrik about Artur Shilovs. I really did, because there is, and I don't think it's irony, but JT Miller's on one team, Artur Shilovs is on the other. And so it's a Pittsburgh Rangers game and there's a Vancouver theme. There is something to giggle about when you think of that. And I could only remember back, and I don't know if you remember this, but when Shilovs was playing in the playoffs against Nashville, and Miller came out on the ice wearing Shilov's dress shirt. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And those started popping up in the stands quite a bit.
I think the Canucks put them out, and I think they made some merchandise dollars off of them.
Yeah. And see, but when you brought that up to Patrik, you could see him smile. He's like, yeah, I was watching. It was great for him. Like, you always hear it's a business. But you also get to know these guys on a very personal level, and you want them to succeed. And even though he's not, he didn't fit in the organization plans anymore, he moves on. Those guys still want to see them succeed. I remember when I got put on waivers from Detroit, and both Jeff Blashill, who's now coaching in Chicago, and Kenny Holland, they made a point of saying, we hope that you're here and can still be with us, but we're really, really hoping that someone takes you. You've earned this opportunity. And that's exactly how Alvin and the rest of the management here, Artie did a great job here, and he deserved his shot. And it was great to see him take advantage of it last night.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. Well, we'll have another show on Friday, end of the week.
All right, let's do it.
Looking back at opening night, we'll make a lot of judgments about the television broadcast and the intermission content, and you better be good.
I'll try my best, but how exciting is it that you just said we'll talk about a regular season game? Oh, it's the best.
It is the best. Good to talk to you, Landon. Talk to you next time.
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks for listening and watching this edition of 100% Canucks.